to another episode of The Man Space. It is absolutely an honor and pleasure to bring you these conversations week after week with my amazing co-host, Marquise Martin Hayes. We seek your feedback, we seek your input, and then we bring conversations that are important to you. And today, by popular request, the biggest concern on every gentleman's mind is with so many disruptions that are going on due to technology, due to the economy, due to public policy, due to global events. We are seeing a perfect tsunami. And we're also entering the Thanksgiving season. How do we navigate the holiday season, the Thanksgiving season, embracing optimism and gratitude at a time where so many disruptions are coming at us and the options to deal with them are not always clear? That is going to be something that we need to talk about, hold space for each other on, and support each other with. So with that said, Marquise, as you think about what we are headed towards, and it's coming at us fast and furious, what are some of the things that you are thinking about and your community of men in family and in community are thinking about and planning to navigate?
Great question, Doc. It is a very interesting time where there are not, as you said, there are not a lot of answers. And how to navigate all of these things has become quite complex, to be honest. The answers, the direction I am attuning myself to are systems or people who are talking from the angle of community adjustments. Fortunately, I grew up, Dr. Kaz, in a time where my grandparents had a garden and they lived in community. So they had certain things they grew, and then my father's godmother down the street had certain things she grew. And I remember some days I'd be snapping peas, or another day my grandmother would say, hey, take this bag of greens down to her house. She's going to give you a bag of rolls. Don't you leave without those bag of rolls. And then you bring the bag of rolls back, but you leave the greens with her. That sense of community, I think, is imminent. Now, granted, we don't all have gardens, but I was shocked to learn over the years that in Chicago, there are people who have indoor plants. There are people who have gardens in their backyards. Chicago has grown in the last 10 years with community gardens. And there are people who even have chickens in the city. Those people, we need to start forming relationships with now, because we don't fully understand all that's coming to the United States and the impact that it's going to have. As we were just talking about Jamaica and the things that just occurred there, and where do they go? What do they do? And while I don't have that answer, in preparation for all that's been happening here in the US, it commands more conversation. It commands, okay, who has what resources? Who has these other resources should this transpire? I know specifically for me and my family, all the children are either have their additional passport should they need to get to an airport, a credit card should it be available to work, to leave if they need to. But then my son's growing a garden and he has other friends who has meat stored. So there are things that we are trying to compare ourselves with, along with as simple as one of my daughters, I made sure she had battery operated and manually operated compasses. Because if she's out, a train stops, a bus stops, and she doesn't know where to go, how is she going to navigate? Because we can't assume the phone's going to work. So while it's weird, and growing up, it sounded very, I don't know the right word for it, but it sounded like, man, you're overreacting, that'll never happen here. All of a sudden, looking around the world, things that other countries have faced, we need to not think it's going to happen, understand something's already in motion, and begin to take steps. Should everything fall apart, how are we going to navigate?
I love where you're going with this, Marquise, because in business, We look at business continuity and succession planning as
Absolutely.
inherently necessary to be a
That's right.
viable business.
That's right.
And so taking that same page into the family. In most countries outside of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
there is business continuity and disaster recovery
Mm-hmm.
plan
Yes. Yes.
and a strategy, and most societies know where the family's go bag is. I mean, I grew up that
That's
way.
right. That's right.
Everybody has a go bag and grab it and go, because
That's right.
anything can happen. It could be a tsunami, it could be a tornado, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Just earlier this week, I was in Boston at a conference, and in the evening, I'm doing my work in my jammies. Fire alarm goes off, and they say you
Mm.
have to evacuate. I'm like, okay, I'm an immigrant, so I have to make sure I get my passport. I
Yeah.
grab all my laptop and my flash drives because that's business. My students' information is there, my business information is there. And the
Mm-hmm.
hotel is saying, hurry up, hurry up. And I'm like, no, I got to be very systematic about this
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to fight. And they're like, why? Just leave everything and come. I'm like, no. What if there's really a fire? Then I'll find myself in El Salvador because without
Mm.
my papers, I actually am all of a sudden illegal, right? So these
Mm-hmm.
are things we need to think about.
Yeah.
And even something as simple as take pictures of all the documents, all the pages,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
email it to yourself, WhatsApp to yourself, put it
Mm-hmm.
in your Google Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And also maybe leave it with somebody who's in another country whose system won't go
Yeah.
down if our system goes down.
That's
So
right.
life insurance,
Mm-hmm.
where all these important documents are,
Mm-hmm.
it's anything can happen with natural disasters too, right? It's not just
That's
man-made
right.
stuff.
That's right. It's not. And Doc, all of a sudden, I didn't notice it before, but all of a sudden, I'm recalling right now, Doc, you've been displaced and growing up as a
Yeah.
young person, because I think about even some of the immigrants in the U.S. and how those families have had to adjust on the fly, and it's like, what now? And I have the privilege of knowing a friend who, when she was younger, I don't remember how young she was, but she was in her teens. Her parents were all of a sudden taken, and she had to raise her siblings and her
Mhm.
family out of nowhere. And her parents couldn't come back. So these are real conversations, as in the man space, we must start having now.
Mhm.
But what were some of the key things you recall that made a difference for you when you had to flee your country
Mhm.
when you were young?
So a lot of it was psychological, right? Because I
Okay.
grew up in the middle of a genocidal war, and those lessons have served me well.
When you say genocidal war, I don't want us to overlook that, Doc, because in America, at least in my lifetime, we've not really understood terms that were used. What was it? Can you give us a visual of what that was like?
It's like what's happening in the Gaza Strip with government. People in power are not necessarily natives of the land.
Mm-hmm.
So the colonial masters hand over the country to their chosen immigrant community, not to
Mm-hmm.
the natives, because they've never given it to the natives.
Mm-hmm.
Even the United States was not given to the natives, right? It was given to a
That's right.
chosen group of immigrants.
That's right.
So then those immigrants decide, unless I get rid of the natives, they're always going to stake a claim. And in our case, we were the trilingual, affluent, educated, wealthy minority because educated, affluent people don't reproduce as much.
Right. That's right. They usually
So,
don't.
yeah. So every night we will get raided, and the abuse and assault start very sexual. The men have to watch things being done to the women. Women have to watch things being done to the men. Then you're dipped in hot tar, rail dropped on train tracks, trains rode over it. The whole
Mm.
family hung in lampposts saying the crime
Mm.
was to be born natives. So
Mm-hmm.
these kind of things go on, and the whole world didn't care. And we always grew up saying, if only we had oil, the world would have cared. So as 7, 8, 9-year olds, these were the conversations we had, right? So we knew nobody cares. We knew that people will only help if there was something in it for them.
Mm-hmm.
But we also knew nothing material lasts.
Mm-hmm.
The things that matter in those circumstances are my acute awareness of who I am,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
my unwavering connection to my creator,
Mm-hmm.
and my courage to build relationship with all the souls around me that my creator has created and take a chance. And so learn to trust, show up with love, kindness, and compassion,
Yeah.
and leave anger, hatred, and fear out. And that was the single largest struggle,
Mm-hmm.
because those debilitate you, those truly become toxic. They don't allow you to function at your best.
Mm-hmm.
And as
Mm-hmm.
children, we had to learn how to let go. So, in my own way, you know me enough to know that humor is how I deal with everything,
Yeah.
right? If somebody offends me, I don't get offended. I use humor. If
Mm-hmm.
they get mad for me not getting offended, I tell them they don't have permission to offend me. Their behavior is theirs. It has nothing to do with me.
That's right.
So, taking that position creates that optimistic, positive energy around.
Mm-hmm.
And then energetically, things fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
remember getting clothes from our Muslim neighbors and dressing like Muslim children and jumping on a train and going to another part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I became 16 and finished my 10th grade, our parents' assets were frozen. We didn't have access to money. I just left to India and switched to English, raised a family, raised siblings, worked, and not work for money. We did service for service swap.
Yeah.
I taught 30 children and put them through school, and the nuns allowed us to go to school, right? So it's,
Yeah.
can you be creative? Because not everything is about money, and a
That's right.
lot of times swap arrangements work if everybody comes to the table
That's right.
with love, kindness, and compassion. That's the imperative.
Yeah. As men, we whatever bones of humility you have, you might need them. You might need them. Whatever sense of vulnerability you don't have, you might want to acquire, because we don't fully comprehend it all. But we know this: we're going to need one another. And I know that Dr. Kaz, and when she told her story before, talked about how people who unquote were the opposite of them were creating opportunities for them because of how she moved. She learned how to move. And I'm saying that out loud because while it has been very much racism in America, among other things, we cannot allow nor forget that there are many people who see way past that and are willing. And so we can't allow our limitations to prevent or prohibit us from being vulnerable, from making partnerships and alliances, because it is the only way forward for many people, at least right now. And whether we
Absolutely.
yeah, and whether we come back from this or not, it is the one thing that if we do well, they can't even touch us. I'm reminded of Brazil right now, Doc, when they were separated, the slaves were separated, they didn't want them to study, and they didn't want them to prepare to fight. They want to try to dumb them down, but they practiced capriola. I'm learning the word, but it was a dance that they would do, and they would call it dancing. But what they were actually practicing through their dance was the art of war, so that they could fight to protect themselves. They
Mm-hmm.
they became creative to maintain some semblance of strength and focus. And
Mm-hmm.
here we're going to have to do the same.
Yeah. And building resiliency and staying in a place of joy,
Is it? Mm-hmm,
that's critical, right? Peace and happiness are two things we can only find inside of us, nobody else can give us.
mm-hmm,
So, how do we build that internal fortitude
mm-hmm.
to be in that place of peace, be in that place of joy?
Yeah.
And, we don't need money to be happy, seriously, right?
No, we
If
don't.
you can dance, if you can sing, and you can do that in a group.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the song Jerusalema, the African
Oh,
song.
sing it.
And there are so many videos of kids in really, really depraved environments. No shoes, no proper clothes, but they are dancing with such joy,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
To me, find inspiration from
yeah,
people who
yeah,
are able to just package their joy
yes,
and
yeah,
overflow with it.
yeah.
Material stuff we're losing is nothing.
Nothing at all.
And
It's literally,
in a way, I'm thinking this is the universe's way of teaching us humility, teaching us where peace and joy truly are found.
hmm
And before we get there, find it,
hmm
anchor ourselves in it,
hmm
so
hmm
that we might even be able to avoid ourselves from getting to places we don't want to find ourselves in. Because it's
yeah,
amazing how when you're happy, so many things happen for you.
yeah. I used to mock the old people in my church growing up. But in my 30s slash 40s, I started to understand them. They would say things like, "Thank you for waking me up this morning. Thank you for giving me a right mind. Thank you for being well in my body." Things that I was like, "What? Thanks for that? That's a given." And then I began to learn, no, it's not a given. And the beauty of them keeping those base things as their sense of gratitude meant that anything above it was just a bonus. So if they had it, great. If they didn't have it, great. It was just sugar on top. The core things that they had of understanding, I'm awake today. That's all that matters. Life is great. The fact that I'm awake is something that I adopted. That the fact that I'm awake means there's an opportunity for something great to happen with what I possess within me. Within me. What will I do with it? When I was in Brazil for New Year's Eve last year, I got a chance to spend some time in the favela. And most, if not everyone in there, had on flip flops. The street was a little dirty in some spots, muddy in some others, and they were having the time of their life because they had each other. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's overlooked. I've not been personally excited about this administration, but one thing I do like about it is it's forcing us to get back to the things that actually matter. We've gotten
Mm-hmm.
so far from a sense of community and the things that make us truly who we are that we've been blinded. We've probably overspent. We've been caught up in the consumption of capitalism without the awareness that anything can shift and or setting up safety. So this is that time for us to really look within and start while you still may have something coming in, or while someone still may have a garden. Start now. Don't
Mm-hmm.
assume it's just going to get better, because it might not. We didn't realize
Yeah,
we'd be here 10 months ago.
yeah.
Here we
And
are.
also, yeah, and then also remember, everybody is doing the best they can. Give people
Yes,
grace.
yes,
Give
yes,
people grace. And what I
yes.
might think as racism, that's all they may know. The best
Yeah,
example I could give is my husband is Pennsylvania Dutch. He grew up
yeah.
in an environment where there was nobody other than German, a Mennonite, and Amish people. Okay.
Wow, wow.
And when he took me home to meet his parents, saying he's in love with me and he's going to marry me, his mom leans over and says, "Oh, but Michael, look at her features. She's
Hmm.
just a dark Caucasian." So mom had to rationalize in her way that it was
Yeah,
okay to love me because she didn't know any other way, right? I could have gotten mad and huffed.
yeah,
But so what I did is I laughed and said, "That is brilliant." So now when I have to fill forms and they ask for my race, I say dark Caucasian and put my mother in law's phone number, right? It's all about how you take it.
yeah. Agreed.
Nobody really means everything harmful. They don't know any better. Give them grace. Even when you're the woman working in a man's world, most of the time men are not being mean. They have never worked with a woman. They don't know. Give them grace. Joke about it.
Yeah. We take for granted that because of age, people know something. Listen, in the country that I grew up in, this country, we were not taught to think. And because we weren't taught to think, we process and operate off what we hear. That's one. Two, I was curious. I looked up the emotional intelligence. of the average person, it's still somewhere between 12 and 14. So
Yeah,
we
we're
might be an adult.
teenagers. We're
So we're
early
still
teenagers
teenagers.
psychologically.
So why we think because someone works in a position that was probably given to them, we think that someone who lives in a big house, that whatever, however they got it, maybe they earned it, who knows? I don't care. But we assume that they're also emotionally mature, that they consciously know. Doc, I think you're right. They only know what they know, and emotionally might even be less. So their ability to
Mhm.
rationalize, we really do need to give grace because
Yeah.
yeah, we do. Instead of
And the
making
minute we corner them, we don't give them a place out, then everything becomes visceral and feral, right? It's like cornering a caged animal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
I
doesn't serve
mean,
anybody. Like
no.
what I learned during the war is when they came at 1 or 2 o'clock to raid, I would open the door. I know what they did to the family next door, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a smile on my face. I say, "Oh my God, it is so late and you're still working. Why don't you take a seat? Do you want coffee or tea? I'll make you some. And while you have it, tell me if you're hungry and I will make you something to eat. Do you want chicken or fish?" Do you know in that first 15 seconds, they are happy to take their shoes off, sit down, have a cup of tea, and have a meal because none of them wanted to do what they were asked to do by the government. They just needed for somebody to open that door for their humanity to be visible and not hate them for what they're doing because it was just another job for them.
You know, Doc, I was talking to a friend in Colombia today, and I said, is it just he was telling me about some bombing that was taking place in a particular area, and he said, man, I said, is it like the drugs and is they just trying? He said, man, listen, it's just people trying to find any way they can to take care of their family. They don't want to sell drugs. They are trying to find ways to still feed their family. He's because he lives with them. He's been living with them for a long time in the area of Colombia, and he's like, they're just human. They're just trying to find their way. They're not necessarily wanting to be a part of it, but they're trying to find their way through. And it's very interesting the level of the lack of tolerance we tend to have in the U.S. for others. So this is a really good time to have grace. That's a good way to say it. To
Because
have grace.
we are going to need grace ourselves, right? And especially the masculine of our society who
Yes.
have been raised to be a certain way, right? Don't show emotion. So,
Mm-hmm.
no emotional intelligence, no resonance with emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be a man. It's all about the title and the
Yeah.
salary and
Yeah.
the zip code and the company.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are changing. All of those are
Immediately, like
changing.
this, like
Yeah.
this.
And if all of those external stuff is stripped off, can every gentleman sit there and look at themselves in the mirror and say, who am I really? Because you're not your job, you're not your salary, you're not your zip code, you're not your car and model.
Yeah.
If all of that was taken away, who are you?
Right.
And it's from there everything else comes. You
Yeah.
are the source, you are the wellspring of everything that happens to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know in my personal journey, losing everything for pursuit of what I believe in purpose that I am, the cost was steep. Yes. But the real gold was in discovering who am I and unpacking that and then choosing to live from that to find my way forward versus let me just go back and do what I used to do. Because
Mhm.
unfortunately, well, fortunately for me at that time, I could have because I have an IT background, but that's not quite the same these days. So instead of hoping one day we'll be able to go back, getting to the core of who I am helped me begin to pave a new road to where I'm going.
Mhm.
And that new road is opening. It's been opening, and I'm really grateful for it. But I not said I'm not going to try to go back, and I made some small attempts, but no interviews, no calls. Had I not spent that time discovering who I am, I'm not sure where I would be right now. I was talking
Mhm.
to a friend recently. He was describing when he didn't have a job, when he was displaced from his employment, how he went into a very dark depression for months, didn't come outside, nothing. And we were talking about how identity is so wrapped up in that job or that what you provide financially by itself. But while that's important, there are layers to us. And now might be the time. Actually, now isn't might be. It is the time to start unpacking who you really are, because if something changes, then what? So if you start now at the core of who you are and partnering that with others, you can begin to form a tribe. And when you're able to form a tribe, there's more protection. We can help one another survive. Dr. Kaz and I used this term a couple of weeks ago to describe to someone else. We're what we call each other's blind spot watchers. Dr. Kaz is a part of my tribe. She helps me see things I don't see sometimes, but that's perfect because that means I'll be better. That means I'll have less chances of falling on my face. And that's because of community. That's because
And then you are there when I need that support of a brother,
yeah.
of a male community member that I can trust and
Yeah.
have that complete faith in, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need each other. And we've talked about this in one of our prior episodes, and I think it is appropriate to bring to the surface here.
Mhm.
The masculine world functions between fight and flight.
Mhm.
Either I fight to get everything I want, it doesn't matter who loses out, or flight, I go and hide and I go into depression.
Yeah.
Neither one is truly the solution. This is why having women in your tribe is so important, because women have a third option. It is called tend and befriend.
Mm. That's what you did with the soldiers.
Yeah. And so, with a friend just last week, I said he is traveling overseas, working and trying to hustle. Father is sick and in hospital.
Mm.
And I said, do you want me to go see your dad and see what I can do? The immediate reaction is, don't try to solve my problem, right? But I wasn't trying to solve the problem.
Yeah.
I was just being the tending, befriending female energy in community.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
does the masculine even have the wherewithal to recognize that tend and befriend? Or does it automatically get shocked and taken aback, saying, you're trying to solve my problem? Don't do that, because then it takes away my manhood. That was not at all the conversation. But I knew to just step back, apologize, and let it go, because I have to find another time when emotions are not high to have this conversation with this friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, for the men who are listening, and that tends to be your role, get over yourself. Because if you don't get over yourself, the people you love are going to suffer more because of your stubbornness. And it does not make you a man to take from someone else. It doesn't make you a man to take from someone else to provide for your own. Yes, I know we see it in society, but that's toxic masculinity. That's not whole masculinity. So it's
But it's
better.
okay to lean in, right? And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where the grace comes in. Have humility and grace. Lean in, because you know what? Women in the community are part of the community.
Absolutely. And we need them.
We need them. The
It is
same way we women need our male community
absolutely.
members. You know enough
Absolutely.
to know that I actually have a huge male community around me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I lean in, especially with my husband being terminally ill
Mm-hmm.
and needing that masculine support and that masculine safe space.
Mm-hmm.
I've built it over 35, 40 years. And now I lean in.
Mm-hmm. And you have it. You have the
Mhm.
safety net. So you're not saying I'm all alone. I'm by myself. And this is good, Doc, because so many people do. And I think the answer is, like you said, lean in to start cultivating this. Because
Mhm.
again, if we're not having these conversations, it's unprecedented and it's necessary, but it's also going to make us better humans.
Mhm.
Our families will be better for it. So yeah, those are just some of the thoughts, Doc, around this notion of not only resiliency but preparedness.
Mhm.
Because as men, a lot of what we've based our past on, our identity, is it's being shaken up and in many instances taken away and may never return. So We're going to have to shift.
Yeah. We all have to evolve, right? Women
That's
have
right.
to evolve, men have to evolve.
That's right.
And when we do it in community,
Mm-hmm.
we are harmoniously evolving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
time.
harmony is key.
Yeah. It's good.
So, as we wrap this up, Marquise, what nugget of wisdom do you want to leave the men with?
Yeah.
Because there's fear, there is anger, there is, oh my God, I can't even talk to other men because they are going to think I'm a whatever word you want to
Yeah.
substitute. I
Yeah.
can't talk to women because women won't respect me.
Yeah.
It's a impossible place for men. And I want us to be very mindful and compassionate about it because this is how we've built our society.
Yeah. My words are, you are only as strong as the people who support you, because no man is self-made. That's what it is.
Absolutely love that. So that would be the note on which we bring this to a close. So reach out to your community. We are all here. Every man is here because of this community around him. Let's make that count, make that matter. And if you are at a place where you have no place to turn, reach out to the men's space. We are here.
Please.
We will hold space for you. We will keep it confidential. We will put you onto the right people. We do this because we care.